Hello and welcome to Pisces Moon Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Kate Leonard, and I'm excited to explore the stars with you. Hey everyone, welcome to the week of February 16th through February 22nd. There's a lot going on. I had a hard time picking what to talk about, but this week, Pallas Athene meets Pluto in Aquarius. Who is Pallas Athene, you ask? I'm so glad you asked that. This is an asteroid goddess that I rarely talk about, but is doing something big this week. So get ready. This is so exciting. Oh, you may know Pallas Athene as the goddess Athena. So yeah, let's get into all of it. But before we talk about the big conjunction of Goddess Athena and Pluto, god of the underworld, on February 22nd. Let me just touch on really quickly some of the other things that I won't be going into detail about, but you might want to look up on your own. Let's see where to even start. Okay, the sun moves into Pisces on February 18th. That is spiritual, creative Pisces, the sun shining a light on those energies. And that's kind of a good thing because we're going to be talking about creative energy when we discuss Pallas Athene. So very cool. In that same space of Pisces, we've got Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, and the North Node. So you want to talk about a ton of energy that is really worth looking at. The other thing is Mercury is combust when the sun moves in there. That means it's weak, but it also means that we're not seeing something. There may be talking behind our backs. There may be something going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of. So you might want to look into that. Neptune is actually going to be conjoining the North Node. Pay attention to your dreams and creative thoughts that just seem to come out of nowhere because that's your destiny calling, okay? The combust Mercury is going to square Jupiter in Gemini. So this is about really pushing ourselves intellectually, but be aware, especially with that combustion and other stuff going on, our plans that we're making this week might be too grandiose. All right. Does that make sense? Jupiter makes things big. Yeah, we might be just making them a little bit too big. So be aware of that. And a little preview of coming attractions. Mars is going to go direct on February 23rd. So we are in the last days of the Mars retrograde. We're still going to have that forward shadow part that he's going to go through. He's still going to be in Cancer for a little while where he's not happy, but at least the retrograde is ending. I know I want to take a giant breath and just, how great is that? All right. So with all of that said, let's now talk about the conjunction between Pallas Athene and Pluto, god of the underworld. So just because I don't talk about the asteroids very much, and I know a lot of other astrologers don't as well. However, there are some great astrologers who focus very heavily on them. Demetra George is someone who's laid a lot of the foundation about what we understand about the asteroid goddesses, and makes a very good point that it's interesting that Chiron, who is also an asteroid, Chiron the wounded healer, everybody talks about Chiron, and of course he's the male asteroid, right? So a little bit of patriarchal selectivity going on there, which also is going to tie into what we're talking about this week. Anyway, Pallas Athene is the third largest asteroid, although I think she was the second one to be discovered. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure she's named after the Greek goddess of wisdom and war, goddess Athena. It's important to keep in mind that it's wisdom and war. We're going to talk a lot about that. Athena's a virgin goddess. This, I think, is also relevant. She's a warrior. She is single focused. When she's got a battle in front of her. She's not worried about did the kids get their nap today, right? It's interesting to see where the virgin goddesses show up. Her main symbols are the owl, representing wisdom, the snake, representing first and foremost transformation, but also wisdom and cunning, and her warriors, sword and shield. These are her basic symbols. There are plenty of others, but those are her basics. So if you think about it, she's smart, powerful, and transformative. This is female power at its best, right? So astrologically, Athena represents creative intelligence. She is a warrior, but her power, it's not that she's wimpy, right? It's not that she's not strong. She has a spear. I think I said sword earlier. That's wrong. It's a spear. She is mighty. But it's through her creative intelligence that she really stands in her power. That's like her superpower. And what does that mean? It's creativity, it's intuition, it's that out of the box thinking. That's her kind of wisdom, and that's how she wins. So that's super important because she's coming up against, not up against, this is not an opposition. This is a conjunction where they meet at the same degree in the sky. But she's meeting up with Pluto, who is the most male power of male power, right? Like there is no god that is more sort of traditionally male power than him. I mean, think of the Persephone myth. And because I know it's triggering for a lot of people, I won't go into details, but he does abduct Persephone and drag her into the underworld. And I think we can all picture what goes on from there. So his is very much about I see it, I want it, I'm this powerful male god, and I'm going to take what I want. Athena is not that. She is as powerful, but it is not through that brute force. And I'm going to stop right here because I'm using these male and female terms in ways that I'm not comfortable with. But when I'm talking about the gods and goddesses, it's a little bit hard not to get into that gendered language. So I could talk about yin and yang, but in this case, Athena is not exactly what I, at least, and again, yin is not my tradition, talking about the yin and yang of things. But as far as I understand it, yin has more to do with what we sometimes call that female receptive quality. I don't think of Athena that way. I don't think of her being so receptive. She's a badass, right? And here's where I get into linguistic problems. You know, she's not yin exactly as I understand it. And so I get left with how to differentiate her from what we traditionally think of as male power. So I hope you all will excuse me. And I would love to hear in the comments how you would language these kind of things, because honestly, I understand the problematic nature of language and the way I'm using it specifically. I want to own this, but I also want to own that I'm just not exactly sure how to get around it. And both Plutonian, aka male power, and Athenian, female power, they are available to everyone of any gender identification. Okay, so sorry to go on with that, but I feel really awkward with this and I'm not quite sure how to get around it. All right, with all of that said, let's get into it. So Pluto's not nice, right? He's not a nice guy, but he is a powerful warrior. He rules the underworld. These two are coming together in a conjunction. That means they're together. So it's not like an opposition where they're going to be battling each other necessarily, okay? It's a little bit different. When they come together, it can be for good or bad, right? Like they could be coming together and merging and we could be getting the best of both, or they could be coming together and merging and really leaving us with a kind of conflict so that it's like an inner battle in some way. I think we're going to get a positive situation, and I think this story is really about Athena. Let me explain why I'm putting all of that together. Both of these deities have to do with transformation. Pluto is involved in transformation through the Persephone myth, where she comes back up into the world for part of the year, turning winter into spring. Athena is about transformation through creative intelligence, and that's represented in the snake. So there's all kind of stuff with both myths. You guys can go read them if you want to, but they do both have to do with transformation. So one thing that I think is going to come out of this week is we are going to be profoundly transformed somehow, some way, okay? Now, the reason I think this is more Athena's story is because she's the one speeding past Pluto, right? He's stuck in Aquarius for like 20 years. I've talked about this before. I think we're going to feel him more on the world stage, but that's kind of another discussion. We're looking at Athena passing over Pluto and moving through Aquarius and on. Okay, so I really think this is Athena's story. So I do think that transformation is coming, and I do think it's going to be a positive experience this week. The other thing, and I've already sort of implied this, but to make clear, we're going to get the big hit of their combined energies this week on the 22nd. But Pluto staying in Aquarius, Athena leaves on January 24th, 2026. Okay. So what we're starting this week and kind of getting the full punch of that Athena Pluto energy, it's going to be playing out for the rest of the year. So this is not a small saga we're entering. And I think when you see how big this is, when I finally start getting into specifics, I hear you. It's going to take the year for this to unfold. Even though I've said that I see this as bringing about positive transformation, Pluto and Athena are not friends, right? I think it's important, though, when we're going through this to recognize, think of the Pluto Persephone thing, and picture if instead he tried to abduct badass warrior Athena. See how that would have gone like way differently? Yeah, they're not like buddies as they come together. So I'm seeing us this week coming up against some existing structure. This is going to be like, not to put it too simply or use cliche terms or something, but this is a little bit about a fight with the patriarchy, right? Something that is trying to keep us boxed in some way, because that's the way we do it, because that's the way it's always been. We're going to come up against something and it's going to hit us wrong. This is probably something that we've accepted for some period of time, right? Pluto's like the old way. It really is like the patriarchy, all right? So this is something that we may have just, without even thinking, possibly always gone along with. And this week, it isn't going to feel right. And I mean feel right intuitively. In our inner self, something's going to say, no, this is not sitting right with me. That's these two coming together, I think. This is what I'm picturing. Now, this can show up in any area of life. So you really got to look at your natal chart and look to see where Aquarius is. This could be with our family, something that our family has always done, some tradition, whatever, that finally we're just like, that is so not what I believe in. That is so not right with me. And I've just always done it because we always do it. You know, that would be like a fourth house Aquarius, seventh house, something you may be deciding that it's like, honey, I love you, but I want an open relationship, some patriarchal structure like monogamy. And I'm not judging, I'm just throwing out examples. You get what I'm saying, right? But some structure that's just sort of the traditional way of being in a relationship where you're finally like, this has never suited me. That would be seventh house. Fifth house, you artists and writers out there, I know you're out there listening. Your creativity may explode this week. I've been talking to a brilliant mentor of mine, and I hope she's listening. She'll know who she is. who was talking about the way an artist needs to show up in tough political times is to show up, right? We are the resistance through our artistic expression. And I think whether you engage in overtly protest art or not, I think that artists, writers, content creators, all of you kind of people out there, I think we are going to break out of some boxes, right? There's going to be something that explodes for us, and we're just like, I'm not playing by the rules anymore. I am coloring outside the lines. I don't accept your lines, okay? And I'm going to digress one more time. Did everybody see the Super Bowl halftime? Talk about protest art being in the air. I'm not going to go into it, but if you didn't watch it, it pretty much blew up the interwebs. You might want to go watch it. Moving right along, that would be fifth house, right? 10th house, job related things. 11th house, how we show up in groups and friend groups. First house, this may be like your identity, your very core identity. I am not going to be defined by other people anymore. That could have to do with how you look, how you dress, your gender, how you approach your weight. It could be anything. First house is essentially you, and you may want to be breaking out of some identity boxes. So it's important to remember that the way we're going to win is the Athena way. All right. It is not going to be a let's duke it out, Pluto against us, fist to fist kind of thing. We're going to win by following our creativity, by following our intuition. It is a different kind of power that we have to wield to be able to go through this transformation. That's what's so important here. So listen to your intuition, let it guide you. Creative intelligence, that outside of the box thinking. The answers for others don't need to be the answers for you. Creativity, all of that kind of energy, those are our weapons. That's how we fight. That's how we transform and become our own sort of warrior selves. It is a truly, truly exciting energy and an exciting week. Let me also just add a really quick thing right here. I know this is getting long, super quick. Pluto has to do with obsession. So we may all find that there's some project that comes up for us this week, or some battle, some cause that we really become obsessed with. And we really apply that creative thinking to kind of really jump into whatever this cause or project or idea is. All right. There could be a slightly obsessive quality to this. Where I think power struggles may come into play this week is we are going to be going through protest energy, right? Saying no to something, saying we're doing it a different way. And the people around us who have always supported that structure may not be thrilled about that and may give us some pushback. The other thing is, as we're growing in these really exciting ways, there may be people who are worried about being left behind, and they may try to hold us in these old boxes because they don't want us to leave them, right? Those are not our issues. Those are their issues. So stand in your power, listen to your intuition, and get creative with your approach to whatever is happening this week. All right, that's it for me. I hope this all made sense. I hope you enjoyed hearing about an asteroid. It was really fun to talk about this. Like I said, there's usually so much going on in the sky that I leave the smaller bodies, I leave them out. Pallas Athena is an asteroid, not a planet, but I don't think she's insignificant. I don't think I don't think we're going to be feeling her any less because of her size. She is mighty. She is mighty, and so are we. Thank you so much for listening. Please share. Please follow the podcast. Please go over and follow my Substack and share it. I would be so grateful. Really, really grateful. Honestly, I would. But if you don't, or if this is your only time with me, thank you anyway for listening and sticking to the end. I really appreciate you. I value you. I'm excited, and I hope this week brings you something just magnificent. And as always, until next week, go out and seize the energies of the stars and even the asteroids. This is truly my wish for you always. Until next week, bye.